its means. And if you actually just go into rule number 9, which talks about debt and how successful nations avoid debt manias. Now, of course, at this time, we're in a interesting economic clash on this thing on GST and the fact on whether the center can pay the GST dues to states, and there have been many debates about whether this is a default of a sovereign promise, etc. How do these aspects fit into when you talk about India as keeping its deficit under control, but not paying GST dues, not paying what is in a sense a sovereign guarantee to its states?
Right. So yeah, these are exceptional circumstances, and I hope that that the center will be able to pay the dues to the states, because there's always room to try and figure this out, and I think that eventually some solution will have to be found. So the point I make about debt is this, which is that as far as India is concerned, India's public sector debt is very high, but on the private sector side, the evidence is a bit mixed. That if you look at it, yes, we had pockets of debt bubbles, like we did in the on the NBFC side for a while, and even some of the households felt a bit stretched. But at least the good news is that the private sector in India has been going through this process of deleveraging for a while, and as things stand today, the indebtedness is coming off. So that should bode well for the next few years. But the public sector debt is very high in India. And so I think we once again need to be very careful about where to prioritize and where to spend, because with these sort of public sector debt levels, our long-term interest rates are not going to decline much. And this is something we forget, that no matter what the Reserve Bank of India tries to do at interest rate, what matters a lot for the cost of borrowing are long-term interest rates. And as long as your public sector debt is relatively high, the long-term interest rates aren't going to come down too much and make it much more difficult for India to keep financing its debt.
You've talked about looking at short-term solutions like, say, printing your way out of this, but the fact is currently that we've seen that in terms of our deficit, that we've almost now reached extremely high levels of it. Whether we'll exceed or not is still to be seen by next year's budget. But currently, what do you think of how it's looking in terms of India and its fiscal deficit?
Well, I think that we have some space here, because most countries have seen a very similar increase in their deficits and in their public debt burdens. The difference was we started from a high base compared to many other developing countries, so we have to be a bit careful, but we have some wiggle room there. In the end, there is no solution to apart from the fact that we need to grow our way out of trouble. Everything else, I think, may provide some very short-term relief, but we'll fall flat. So we just have to come up all guns blazing, as you put it at the top of your show, about how does India grow its way out of trouble, or try and sort of get growth going to much higher levels. Now, our benchmarks need to change in this deglobalized world. We cannot grow at 8-9% for the next few years. I think that's behind us. Even our demographics and other constraints like debt do not facilitate such high growth, but we have to at least think of a realistic growth target of 5 or 6% for the next few years, and that's the only way, as far as I'm concerned, of dealing with all the problems we have, whether it's got to do with the debt bind we are in, or to do with the rising levels of unemployment, that we just have to do that. And again, it goes back to one of the points we earlier made, that the Prime Minister has the political capital to do this. The issue is that how much political capital is he willing to spend in this area, and how much does he really believe in letting go and devolving power?
Because interestingly, when all the predictions now coming from ratings agencies and the State Bank of India economic forecast shows that India, at least for this year, is expected to grow the contraction of, it varies between -10 to -15%. Do you think that when you say 5 to 6%, that you do think that we can rise out of this contraction of this financial year to a 5 to 6% growth? Do you see a V-shaped recovery in sight, as the chief economic advisor keeps saying?
Well, I think that's what we have to aim for, because we have to understand as to what got us in this mess in the first place because around the world, if you look at it, Sonia, there's a very clear relationship in terms of how strict the lockdown was and how much the economies ended up contracting. So we had the strictest lockdown in the world in the second quarter of this calendar year, the first quarter of the fiscal year, we got the sharpest contraction in GDP around the world. So now we just have to sort of think about what we do going forward. But I think that the idea is to get the animal spirits back, but it has to be much more of a reformist agenda, and to also take businesses along and move out of this fear that we are in. Not just fear of the pandemic, but the regulatory fear, the tax fear. I think that these are very real fears which we have spoken about as we have discussed the various rules, and other successful nations have dealt with it much more successfully than what we are doing just now.
Because Ruchir, that's a point often made, that we tend to blame this GDP contraction only on our very severe lockdown, but of course we performed the worst. Our GDP numbers fell the most amongst all major economies, and there were problems with the system, economic flaws. The opposition leader Rahul Gandhi points to it beginning with demonetization and other decisions which had anyway put our economy in a precarious state. So it's not just about growing out of this pandemic in a sense, but fixing those basics too.
Very true. I was very against the demonetization experiment when it happened back in 2016 as well, right at the outset. So of course we have to be careful about what we do at home, and in terms of what policy mixes we try and implement. But as I said, that the fundamental issue with India's political system is this tendency for control and statism, and not being able to let go of that.